Now, I was asked yesterday a question about what is coiling and uncoiling. Great question. So I'm going to give you a kind of like a little snippet now. So the body, as you know, we get energy through a few different ways in Qigong. As I've been explaining over the last couple of days, part of that is breath, and that there's actually negative ions on the breath, on the air that you breathe in, and that is qi, that's energy. And if we've got these two polar opposites, then we've got more energy in our electromagnetic field for us to breathe in. So one is breath. Another one is actually this uncoiling and coiling. So there's a whole fascia. Fascia is like a gel-like substance that goes all over the body, covers all the organs, ligaments, tendons, bones, and it's actually got nerves in it. And it's a jelly kind of substance. And it's been found in sports science that when that is kind of coiled and uncoiled, when it's opened and closed, this generates an electrical charge. So rather than just stretching out like this, which is quite yoga, we don't do that. In Qigong, we coil and uncoil. There are times when we do the yoga stretches, because that's another way to get energy, is you actually do weight bearing exercise where you're actually putting pressure on the bones and the crystalline structures in the body. You might know this because we tap a lot. Tomorrow is Makaho Friday, and we're going to be doing a whole load of tapping through the meridians tomorrow. And this also generates energy. So we have breath, coiling and uncoiling, and sometimes it's called shock absorption, rebound. Some people call it weight bearing. But what I'm doing today really, and this month, is the coiling and uncoiling. The body is set up in segments that are fixed. So here we've got one bone, here we've got another, and we get flexibility and movement through the joints. That's how we can move these very fixed objects. And you'll notice this is big. It gets smaller, it gets smaller, 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 smaller. So what we do is we move the joints, curl through the joints. The silk reeling exercises are fantastic for that, because we're actually moving the joints, and that moves the fascia and begins to open it and close it. And by doing that, we're wringing out the fascia and keeping it nice and supple. When we're born and we're babies, our fascia is really, really squidgy, and we can do all sorts of things. And as we age, it begins to harden. So I am 53 tomorrow, and I want to keep my fascia really, really flexible. And I do this by wringing it out, doing these coiling and uncoiling exercises. So as we do the coil, the movement comes from the joint and it comes out. Sometimes in sports science, this is called a kinetic chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the fingers, and then back in. So we uncoil and coil. So hopefully that gives you a kind of an idea. And what I want you to do with your practice today is see how much coiling and uncoiling you can do. Have that kind of feeling of uncoiling and then coiling it back down like a spring. So it's not a static stretch, it's actually a kind of motion. Because these fascia lines, I know we're moving on, these fascia lines, actually they've proven they follow the meridian lines. So perhaps meridian and fascia are more connected than we realize. So hopefully that's a good explanation. Now let's do the movements, all right? So coming back to stand, always we begin with standing in Jiazhong or Wuji position, which is the position of emptiness. And again, with this is also for stability and working up body posture. So feel your kinetic chain right from your toes through your feet bones up to your ankles. Now feel your joints of your knees above your ankles. Feel your hips above your knees. Let your tailbone just sink to the ground. You don't have to curl it under, just let it sink to the ground. And feel your spine beginning to elongate. Tuck your chin into your chest and just feel that top of the head as if you're being pulled up like a puppet.